Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. We're going to be cooking something a little bit different today. Not BIR, so it's going to be from scratch, a lamb Shatkora curry. So Shatkora is made in Bangladesh. It's like a lemon taste. It gives it a really nice after, sort of a sour taste to it. Thanks for watching, and please just hit that subscribe button, comment, like, ask me any question. I've been helping people like on a daily basis at the moment. People are asking me all sorts of questions, so I hope I've helped them. But yeah, a little bit different, traditional lamb Shatkora curry. So let's get cooking. So I've got the lamb here. So I've gone to Asian supermarkets and I've asked them just to give me about, I think about 1.5 kilos. So it's about, roughly about £12 money-wise for lamb. So as you can see, it's on the bone. So traditionally, it's always on the bone. So this is a traditional curry. It's not BIR. So we've got it on the bone. We believe like on the bone, the flavors are locked in more. It's better, and people eat with hands. So they can take the meat off the bone, whereas the Brits, they like it with knife and fork. So that's like BIR, why it's been modified. So the chicken, the lamb in BIR restaurants, they are off the bone, but I'm cooking a traditional one today, so that's kind of like a main difference. So I've got it fresh. What we're going to do is we're going to clean the lamb first. So we're going to get it into a pot. We're going to put the lamb all in, and then we've just got water. Just going to pour some water in there. So you want to cover the lamb with water, and all you're going to do is you're just going to boil it for about 15-20 minutes, and then it's just going to clean all the blood, all any rubbish kind of off. So we're going back to the lamb now. It's been about 10 minutes. Now I've got a very powerful cooker, so mine's very quick. As you can see, the water now, it's just cleaning off the lamb. You can see, like, I don't know if you can see that the blood and everything is kind of off. And it's just cleaned it up a lot more. So it's just boiling it. We normally do like some 25-30 kilos. We boil out one time. And it's just cleaner. You can see this in here, it's just bubbled up. Sort of like a gooey, bubbly thing. So it's fairly clean now. So we're just going to put it into a colander now, drain all that water out. Can you see all this kind of gooey bit coming out? So that's what we want to do, just get rid of that. And now we're just going to wash it with cold water. Okay, so we're now ready to cook after we've cleaned the lamb. So we've got some oil here. Roughly, I would say 100 ml should do it. Just want to cover your pot or pan with your oil. Get that right. Right, so I'm going to put that on slow gas. Let it just warm up gently. I'm just going to cut some onions quickly. Cut them a little bit thin. Now the more onions you put in, the more thicker the sauce is going to be. So if you like a really thick kind of sauce, you want to put a bit more onions in. I'm going to put about 3 medium size, that's alright. If it is too thick, you can always put water afterwards to kind of thin it out, but if you do like a nice thick sauce, it's the onions that's going to make it thick. So the onions will melt, but I'm just cutting them quite thinly. Just want to cut it quite thinly. So from BRR restaurants, if you see, it's mainly made up of onions to make the gravy. This is like kind of making the base gravy, but we're kind of doing it all in one. Because I'm cooking it from scratch. I don't know how much I'm cooking. So we've got some garlic and ginger. The amount of lamb we've got, probably about 4 or 5 people, roughly, for a meal. So I've got here about 4 tablespoons, not teaspoons, tablespoons garlic and ginger paste. And we're just going to put that in. Just starting to cook it, sort of want it melted. So as I'm cooking it traditionally, we've got 4 bay leaves, 4 or 5 cinnamon sticks, and about 4 or 5 cardamons. If you don't have these, don't worry, just use garam masala, which is garam masala is in the spice form of these. So as you probably know, some of you probably know, we stopped using these in the restaurant. We just use garam masala now, purely because people want it smooth. You know, I think I mentioned someone complained they've got a stick in their curry, when in actual fact it's a cinnamon stick. They thought it was they said they got a piece of wood in their curry and then they returned it with a cinnamon stick. So people like it smooth. Some people have described cardamons to me as like perfume bombs because it's very strong. So they used to have it in their rice and it's to ruin their taste. You know, as soon as they bit into it, they had this strong aftertaste. So we took a decision a few years ago to stop using these, just use the garam masala, or we'd use it in the base gravy where we'd boil water from these and then use a colander so the water has the flavour in. So, but I'm cooking it traditionally and I'm going to put it in, put all that in there. Like I said, don't worry if you haven't got all that, just put a little bit of garam masala spice in. So the next step, we're going to get all the onions and then we're just going to put it in. We're going to let that caramelise a little bit. So now we're going to put the salt in. That will help caramelise the onion. I've got about 2 tablespoons of salt. So later we'll taste it. If there's not enough salt, we can always put a bit more in. But it's always better to go low, and then you can add more rather than going high, and then you can't take it back. So I've now put it on full gas because I want the onion to caramelise quickly. Now, if it is starting to burn a little bit, just add water or add oil, but you don't want it too oily because the oil is going to come out of the meat as rather fat. So, you know, I'm just going to add a tad bit of water. I'm going to add some more afterwards. I'll just add it now so it doesn't get burnt. So once the onions have caramelised a little bit, so as you can see, they don't have to be really, really soft, but you know, they've just kind of caramelised a little bit, flavours kind of locking in. And then you've got your boiled meat there, that's ready to go in now. So now we're going to add the water. So you want the water hovering above the meat. The water is going to be cooking for quite a while, so the water will kind of dry out. I've put about 3 pints of water in. I might put in a little bit more later, but now it's going to start cooking, and you want the meat is going to start cooking, and the meat is you want it to try and go a little bit soft before the second stage where we'll put spices and everything in. So water you add accordingly. If it's starting to dry out, just add a bit more. Add a bit more. That's your kind of sauce. So it's been about sort of about 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Now I've got very powerful cookers, so you can see the onions are starting to melt. The lamb's getting a bit more softer. The water's drying out, so I can put a little bit more water. Now add water accordingly. If you put too much, you can let it just kind of cook and it will get thicker. So I've added another kind of pint of water. I can feel it stabbing the lamb. It's getting a little bit more softer, but we've still got a bit more time. But yeah, just keep it keep an eye, keep stirring it, keep adding water as and when you need if it dries out too much. But your main focus now is trying to get the lamb soft. The onions will melt anyway, as you can see there, it's starting to like really sort of disintegrate. But the main focus now is getting the lamb soft. Once it's nearly soft, we'll start adding the spices. We'll start adding everything else. You know, the Shatkora. I've kind of changed my mind a bit. I am going to make it quite saucy. Okay, so as you can see, the onions are pretty much melted. There's little bits here, but you know, by the time they're going to completely melt. So we're going to add some tomatoes now. So in BIR curries, you see they add the tomato puree because it's already made into a puree. It's going to melt into the curry very quickly. We can put whole tomatoes because we've still got another like at least 15, possibly 20 minutes of cooking time. That's just going to melt the tomato. The tomato's going to give a little bit of flavour, but the colour will be stronger and nicer. So I'm just going to dice these in sort of like 4. That's probably going to be enough. They're going to melt off anyway. Put that in there. On full gas now, full gas on it. We're gonna now. I can see the meat. It's starting to get it's starting to get soft. So we can put the spice in. You want to put the spice in before it gets too soft, because you want it to cook in. When it gets too soft, then you put the spice in. If it hasn't mixed in, it's just gonna break off. And we're gonna put the Shatkora in at the same time. Now, I've seen some London restaurants. They put Shatkora on their BIR menu. We don't. It's not really that popular, and I think it's one of them hidden gems. It's Bangladeshi, sort of like a citrus fruit. It's like a lemony thing. Really, really popular in the households, in the Bangladeshi household. Certainly, I've had it with a lot of stuff. So we're just going to do it to give it a bit of different flavour. I mean, you don't need to add that. You could just have a plain lamb curry. So as you can see, I'll put the tomatoes in. The lamb has got a little bit softer. We're now ready to put the Shatkora. There's the Shatkora here. It's like a lemony thing. It will give a really, really strong kind of taste, a really nice flavour. And then we've got our spices. So we use our own spices, curry by air, but you can use. We recommend to use our spices so you get the flavour exactly how we do it. So you've got here chili powder. I've got about a tablespoon. I'm not going to make it overly hot. I'm just going to make it a little bit hot. I'm not going to make it overly hot for the people I'm kind of cooking for. They don't want it too hot. Got our haldi, which is turmeric. About a tablespoon of chili. A tablespoon of coriander spice, which is our delicious dhani. Dhani just means coriander. And then you've got jazzy jeera. Jeera is cumin. Cumin's very strong. You want a half a tablespoon. Always, whenever you add cumin in anything, you always add it less than everything. And curry powder, cozy curry powder, we're going to put about a tablespoon and a half. We just want to add a little bit more on that. So I think we're now ready to put that in. By all means, you can add green chilli. Whenever you add anything in your curry, say some people put potato, they want lamb potato curry. Now is the time to put it in. You can't put potato before because it's going to melt. It's going to, you know, the lamb takes longer to cook. So normally, like kind of like a rule of thumb, when you put the spices in, you put it in. If you want cauliflower in, well, cauliflower will probably go soft, so you probably put that at the very end. But anything like potato or putting the Shatkora in, anything you put in, you kind of put it in with the spices. So that's all in there now. The Shatkora is in there. The Shatkora, it's got very short shelf life, so you can buy them frozen if you want. We don't actually sell it in the restaurant. I've just got it in special for this video, so I bought frozen ones in and I've kept them in, and you let them defrost, I think, for a couple of hours, and then you just put that all in there. If you want to add green chilies, by all means add some green chilies. So as you can see, my tomato now, it's already starting to melt. You can see it's already, you know, by the time it's done, it's just going to be completely gone. So at this stage, we're very, very near now. Can you see? The meat is quite soft. The sauce is quite a nice thick sauce. So if you've added too much water, you can thicken it up by just letting it cook. But you've got to be very careful because the meat is too much, it's just going to break off too much. So you've got to get that happy medium balance, really. So I can see my meat is quite soft now. The spices have cooked in. I've got it at perfect thickness. Now I'm just going to taste it. Is there enough salt in there? Is there anything, and do I want it more spicy? Anything that I'm missing, really? So I've just got a teaspoon there. I'm just tasting some of the sauce. For me, that's perfect amount of salt. Quite spicy, probably a bit more spicy than I want, but I can't take that back now. And you can taste a really nice flavour of the Shatkora. That's really cooked in now. So I think I'm nearly done. I think I'm pretty much done. A little bit of coriander on top of each one. And there you have it, lamb Shatkora curry.